The Salzkammergut is located in the heart of Austria, a wonderful and romantic landscape set between breathtaking mountains and beautiful lakes. It was here that the Emperor of Austria once spent the summer months and enjoyed all the benefits of this health resort, in which salt, this region's white gold, was once worked, and where objects that date back to prehistoric times have been discovered. One of the most famous lakes in the Salzkammergut is the Wolfgangsee. In the Middle Ages, St. Wolfgang was one of the most visited pilgrimage destinations in Central Europe, having attracted 70,000 of the faithful here each year. However, the end of the 18th century saw much change. Pilgrims no longer visited this region, and St. Wolfgang and the surrounding villages began to suffer much hardship. Later, various artists and authors discovered this picturesque area. Tourism gradually began to develop, and the area enjoyed a new lease of life. In the summer of 1873, the first paddle steamer was introduced, and the 11.5-kilometer-long lake became a boating paradise. In 1930, this region and one of the hotels in St. Wolfgang became extremely famous due to an operetta, Das Weiße Rössel am Wolfgangsee. The combination of lakeland, mountain and fertile meadow scenery soon attracted those from far and wide who required a relaxing and healthy holiday in peaceful surroundings. St. Gilgen is situated at the western end of the lake. It is set among captivating scenery at the foot of the Zwölferhorn Mountain that has a cable car service. Attractive houses, hotels and a city hall contain modern comforts hidden beyond a romantic façade. It was here that Mozart's mother was born. Numerous tourists come here by pleasure boat. It takes 16 minutes to reach the summit of the Zwölferhorn by cable car. A perfect setting with a magnificent view across the Wolfgangsee and the nearby mountains. The location is very popular with paragliders. The ascent is made easy by an updraft of warm air that is ideal for a satisfying flight above the lakeland scenery. The cable car's downward journey is also fascinating. Almost silently, we approach the village's tall, white church tower. Popular with both young and old alike and close to the Wolfgangsee, the Dorf der Tiere. It features various indigenous animals, small streets and a lively atmosphere. The inhabitants of the village are much admired and never refuse a tasty snack. From St. Wolfgang, a small train travels up the Schafberg, the main landmark of the Salzkammergut. This railroad is 5 kilometers long and rises to a height of 1,795 meters above sea level. Construction of this now famous tourist attraction was given the go-ahead in 1872. But money was a problem, and so its building was delayed for 17 years. The wagons date back to the time of the railroad's inauguration. Each can seat around 60 passengers. More than 200,000 people travel up the Schafberg each year. It's a relaxing way to reach the top. Even in summer, the modern station on the summit is surrounded by a good covering of snow. From here, there's a fascinating panoramic view across the lakeland below, as well as the beautiful hill and mountain scenery of the 3,000-meter-high Schafberg. Now it's time to leave. The old steam engine is waiting patiently to take its passengers back down into the valley below. The tiny train travels slowly down the steep slopes. The inauguration of the steepest railway line in Austria took place on the 1st of August 1893. A wonderful example of railroad construction. Fueled by coal, this steam engine is designed to negotiate a 260% gradient. The area's main village is Fuschl, that is situated on the Fuschl-See at the western end of the Salzkammergut. A tranquil and romantic lake that has inspired countless composers, poets and authors. The lake is a glimmering turquoise color and the surrounding landscape is truly superb. It takes about 3 hours to walk around it. The Fuschl-See became famous due to a luxurious hotel that is located on a peninsula. Its distinguished guests have included Prince Rainier of Monaco, Richard Nixon and Billy Wilder. The lake features wooden boats known as Zillen. They were once used to transport all manner of goods across the lake. A group of courageous people is poised for a unique adventure. However, first some preparation is necessary. Everyone lends a hand. The huge balloon is spread out across the meadow under the close supervision of an expert. Next, it is filled with hot air. The balloon increases in size until it slowly rises and is ready to take passengers. This journey by hot air balloon is an amazing way in which to explore this fascinating landscape. An adventure with a difference. From here, it's easier to gain a better perspective of the geology below. In the Ice Age, huge glaciers led north. They carved out wide valleys, deep basins, and high mountains. When the masses of ice finally melted, they left behind this splendid landscape: gentle valleys, crystal clear lakes, and rocky terrain. Nature defined the borders of this landscape. In the east, the landscape stretches to the edge of the Tote Gebirge, a labyrinth of mountains with areas of karst and fields of mountain pine. In the south, it extends to the snow-covered Dachstein Mountains and their many caves. And in the southwest, the Tennen-Gebirge. In the west is the broad sweep of the Fuschl-See that marks the edge of the mountain region. And in the north are the gentle hills of the Voralpen. This romantic landscape contains no less than 80 lakes. Their crystal clear water reflects the slopes and summits of the mountains. A place of unspoiled nature and perfect calm. As the sun sets, our hot air balloon lands safely within a meadow. A wonderful end to a wonderful day. Shaped like a sickle, the Mondsee is situated between the Drachenwand and Schafberg Mountains. The village of Mondsee is surrounded by fertile meadows, and the houses with their rural Baroque and Rococo facades are a captivating sight. The buildings are picture postcard perfect and like something from a movie set. There's a fountain at the front of the village hall. It's a popular tourist destination. For 1,000 years, the monastery here was the cultural heart of the region, but today it's in private ownership. However, the Church of St. Michael is open to the public. The lake is 11 kilometers long and 70 meters deep. It has a relatively warm temperature due to its sheltered location and total lack of inlets from cold mountain rivers. Thus, in summer, it's popular for bathing, and in winter attracts numerous wildfowl, mainly due to its lack of ice. The most temperate lake of the Salzkammergut attracted the first settlers to this region. They built lakeside dwellings here. According to legend, there's even an ancient lost village somewhere at the bottom of the lake. The Attersee is the largest lake in the Salzkammergut. It's nearly 20 kilometers long and more than 2,000 meters wide. It's also quite deep, 170 meters. Its southern section is located within the limestone mountains of the north. The Gebirge mountains extend to its banks. Until around 18,000 years ago, the Traunsee Glacier covered this entire region. It was then that the ice began to recede and the water became trapped here. The primeval lake had a water table that was 23 meters higher than that of the lake we see now. Around 4,000 years ago, the Attersee reached an historically low level, caused by a dry and warm climate. People started to settle here on the banks of the lake and built their dwellings on posts. As the water table rose, the lakeside dwellings became flooded and the people abandoned their settlement and moved further inland. The color of the lake changes from blue to green according to the weather. Due to the high winds here, the lake is popular with sailing enthusiasts. On a hilltop between the Attersee and the Traunsee, and within the Salzkammergut at a height of 960 meters above sea level, is the Hochkreut Animal Park. More than 300 wild animals live here, including red deer. During its planning, much thought was given to the harmonization of the park's animal enclosures and surrounding landscape. The overall effect is quite stunning. Exotic animals live side by side with indigenous species, such as African goats, wild horses, ponies, and mountain goats. Hungarian Zackel sheep, goat, and wild boar also live here. They're all extremely well cared for. The white and black Cameroon sheep are particularly popular, as well as the mouflon, tarpan and donkeys. "12 kilometers long and at almost 200 meters deep, the deepest lake in Austria, the Traunsee, carved out by the mighty glaciers of the last ice age. The picturesque Traunkirchen is situated on a peninsula on the west side of the lake, and so is the elevated Johannes Chapel of Baroque design. Steep rocks blocked access to the Salzkammergut until the middle of the 19th century. Thus, both people and goods had to be transported across the lake, from Gmunden to Ebensee and back. Ebensee became a wealthy town and a trading centre of both salt and grain. Traunkirchen continues to be a popular town. Swans move along majestically on the gentle waves of the lake and remain unfazed by the boats that come and go to the nearby esplanade. The salt-producing town of Gmunden is the true gateway to the Salzkammergut and is also a popular tourist destination. Here, salt arrives from Hallstatt and Aussee. In the early 19th century, the salt was loaded onto one of the first horse-drawn railroads and transported to the Danube. From the boat, there's a wonderful view. Attractive houses and small hotels blend perfectly into the fertile green landscape. The centre of Gmunden is located right by the lake. There's a good view of it from the boat. From the town, a cable car leads up the Grundlsee, one of the most beautiful walking areas in the Salzkammergut, with fine views across the Traunsee. The downward journey is even more impressive. We travel down into a beautiful valley and approach our destination. The town extends to the edge of the water, a perfect setting. Splendid buildings and the Salzamt indicate the town's prosperous past. Small squares and narrow lanes made it easy to defend the town, and the church is surrounded by a number of magnificent houses. The plates and illustrations depict the profession of their owners. Ort Castle is located on a small island. It dates back to the 12th century. 5 centuries later, the castle's splendid inner courtyard was further embellished with the addition of various arcades. Gmunden's main landmark can be reached via a long wooden bridge. Within the idyllic Almtal and its main village of Grunau is the untouched and romantic Alm See. It is surrounded by the rugged mountain slopes of the Toten Gebirge that was formed by the glaciers of the last ice age. Peaceful mountain landscape, farmhouses and floral displays, a lake plus a famous institute in which Konrad Lorenz once studied the behavior of the grey-legged goose. Between Grunau and the Alm See is a real animal paradise, Cumberland Park. Measuring 60 hectares, more than 500 animals live here. Forests, meadows, a brook and several ponds are the natural habitat for around 70 varieties of wildlife. The park is also a home for threatened species. Here, they are well protected. A snow owl casts a curious eye at onlookers. The red deer are quite content as long as they're allowed to feed undisturbed, while a male boar simply minds his own business. In springtime, the meadows are covered with white daffodils. The Grundlsee is situated close to the slopes of the Tote Gebirge. It's possible to travel by motorboat across the 6-kilometer-long lake or drive by car alongside its shoreline to Goisern. Our journey ends at the eastern end of the lake, where there's a small jetty. A fairy tale world. In springtime, there's no hint of the cold months of winter. The area in the southeast of the Salzkammergut is known as Aussee land. A small and well-arranged world, natural and beautiful. A footpath leads past a church and various farmhouses to the tiny Toplitzsee. Past sweet-smelling meadows and through a forest of birch trees, right up to the lake. The water is dark and mysterious. The steep tree and rock-covered shoreline make it difficult to walk close to the lake. Thus, part of the Toplitzsee is only accessible by boat. However, many are attracted by the lake. They come here to dive for various treasures that were rumored to have been hidden by the Germans in the final days of the Second World War. But nothing has yet been found here. No one knows if there really is a treasure here. However, it is well known that during the war, the German military used this remote area for numerous secret experiments. The smaller See is situated deep within the narrow valley of this marvelous mountain area. The Bad Aussee Health Spa is the center of this region. Since 1850, both brine and mud baths have been available here. The houses of the old town are still adorned with the frescoes and decorations of the 15th and 16th centuries, manifestations of the prosperity that came here due to the region's salt. The original Romanic parish church was enlarged in true Gothic style. The lanes and squares of this place certainly make time pass by a little more slowly. It was here that Erzherzog Johann of Austria met and married the daughter of the postmaster of Aussee. A true romance. Both the park and main building of the health spa have survived to the present day. It was here that pampered visitors relaxed while strolling through the well-laid-out park. The Traun River flows through the town. The Salzamt dates back to the 14th century. It's also known as the Kammerhof. Its red marble windows and doors are of late Gothic design. The Emperor's Hall is an historic reminder of former times. Maximilian I visited the town in 1511 and during his stay had a powerful influence over its citizens. Six kilometers northwest of Bad Aussee is yet another picturesque site, the Altaussee. This is a small health resort whose romantic timber-built houses are inhabited by people who still wear traditional costume. Visitors are always given a warm welcome. There are boathouses and old-style fishing boats, and flower meadows that extend right down to the shores of the lake. The Altaussee is 3 kilometers long and is surrounded by the rocky Trisselwände and the striking peak of Loser Mountain. From the lake, there's a tantalizing view of the Dachstein. A narrow, winding road leads to our next mountain adventure. A visit to a salt mine is a must. For thousands of years, salt has been worked here. The brave miners had to venture deep into the mountain in their search for the white gold. Narrow passageways lead to the working areas. The mine also contains a number of surprises, such as the subterranean chapel within a tunnel, a treasure chamber that was used to hide valuable paintings during the war, a mine shaft, and a lake deep inside the mountain with a mysteriously illuminated stage. A 9-kilometer-long road travels around 15 bends up the Loser, 1,600 meters above sea level. A few minutes drive by car and we arrive at one of the most attractive tourist destinations in the Salzkammergut. The view is quite spectacular. From the shining mountain peaks of the Dachstein as far as the snow-covered summit of the Großvenediger. Healthy mountain air, magnificent alpine flowers in summer, and snow and ice until spring. This is the Toten Gebirge. Then there is Aussieland, with green meadows, scattered settlements, and the deep blue Altaussee Sea that was once described by a poet as the inkwell of inspiration. The downhill journey provides lots of sensational views and exciting moments. The winding road continues to travel amid the splendor of hills and mountains. The last ice age certainly made its mark here. At the beginning of the 19th century, Bad Ischl was called simply Ischl when a local doctor began to use salt water to treat miners who suffered from rheumatism. The Austrian emperor's personal physician took an interest in the treatment. and Ischl subsequently became a health spa. Along with numerous artists and the like, the imperial court soon put Bad Ischl on the Austrian health spa map. The Kaiser Villa became the imperial summer residence, and it was here that Emperor Franz Josef became engaged to Bavarian Princess Elisabeth, who later became known as Sisi. Due to its popularity with the emperor, the town became a rendezvous for high society, and soon, in addition to various writers and actors, numerous composers also settled here. Johann Strauss, Emmerich Kallmann, Johannes Brahms and Franz Lehár, to name but a few. Splendid villas were built along the banks of the Traun. Soon it was fashionable to own a summer residence in Bad Ischl. The town's confectionery became famous as it was extremely popular with the imperial court. Various buildings, the large park and its fountain continue to attract those who wish to experience the imperial atmosphere of a now lost and glorious age. It takes around 12 minutes for the cable car to travel from the town to Katrinalm, that is named after the emperor's lover, the actress Katharina Schratz. At an altitude of 1,500 meters, this is perfect walking territory, with breathtaking mountain views. And way down below is Bad Ischl, situated on a peninsula between the rivers Traun and Ischl. A narrow valley winds south from Bad Ischl to Bad Goisern, one of the last resorts that leads to the huge mountains of the main Alps. Life here is not easy. The harsh climate has made the local people strong. But tradition, culture and self-confidence have each contributed to the many creative arts and crafts that are to be found in the heart of the Salzkammergut. The architecture here is also special. Wooden balconies and verandas expand the living space, each with its own special decoration. And a number of tiny brooks flows through the village and add even more enchantment. The lanes between the houses add further intimacy to the scene. It's necessary to have good footwear. Goisere is a synonym for Austrian alpine mountain boots. Nailed and double-stitched, the boots are extremely strong. Each one is handmade. The mountain boot was invented in Bad Goisern, and the ancestors of the bootmaker supplied the imperial court that resided each summer in nearby Bad Ischl. The Goisere are in demand all over the world. They're certainly not inexpensive, as quality and tradition have their price. Similar to a fjord, the Hallstatt Sea extends in front of the picturesque Hallstatt. This region was first settled in ancient times. A unique mixture of millennia-old culture and beautiful scenery, crowned by a village of historic importance. Due to the early discovery of large salt deposits in the surrounding mountains, Hallstatt has a proud history that dates back 1,000 years. Long before Christianity came to Salzkammergut and prior to any churches being built, an independent prehistoric culture developed here. Simple, yet full of dignity, this Gothic chapel was consecrated to Holy Michael. The cemetery provides some exceptional views. Precious mountain salt has decisively influenced life in Hallstatt from around 1500 BC to the present. Perhaps the sight of this waterfall inspired the miners of the 16th century to build the Soleil pipe, and what is today the oldest working pipeline in the world. Water pipes replaced the heavy bags that were once carried down to the valley below. Thus, water was used to transport the salt 40 kilometers. The village contains a rich variety of historic buildings, and its churches contain precious works of art, such as the late Gothic altar created by Leonhard Astel. The old marketplace and its fountain are dominated by a Trinity column that dates back to 1744. The welcoming facades of the dwellings have graced this atmospheric village since the 16th century. And its market probably dates back to the 14th century. For many years, the village could only be reached by rowing boat or by foot, but in 1862, the first steamship arrived. The impressive countryside and prehistory museum features the history of salt mining in the area and its importance to the village. During 17 years of excavation, a total of 20,000 objects were discovered in 980 graves. These discoveries subsequently led to the establishment of Hallstatt's intriguing and fascinating culture. Local archaeology has revealed the fact that this area has been inhabited from around 5,000 years BC. To the west of the Hallstatt Sea is the high Gosau Valley, whose source lies within the Gosausee. Here, cows graze in lush green mountain meadows, and farmhouses lie scattered among the rolling hills. At the end of the valley, at an altitude of 933 meters above sea level, is a tiny mountain lake that is surrounded by rock walls. During the Ice Age, this area lay within the earth where a huge lime plate broke into two pieces: the Dachstein Mountains and the Toten Gebirge. A cable car travels up the Zwölferhorn from where various paths lead to numerous good vantage points. The beauty of nature is at its zenith in these high mountain areas, and the smell of both trees and mountain pastures is intoxicating. Well-appointed mountain huts and picturesque views across the gigantic peaks of the Gosaukamm Mountains to as far as the Bischof Mütze are a welcome reward for all who venture here. The views here are famous across the world. With the Dachstein Mountains as a backdrop, this scene is featured on many a picture postcard. The Dachstein, a fabulous world of rock and ice, imposing and majestic. A picturesque mountain landscape set amid the Central European Alps. From Obertraun, a cable car leads up the Dachstein, whose snow-covered mountains and unspoiled nature attract a large number of tourists. From the Dachsteinbahn Obertraun station, it is only a 15-minute walk to the Dachstein Caves. They're easy to get to. Those who discovered the first of these caves named it the Mammoth Cave due to its large dimensions, though its entrance is extremely deceptive. The front section of the Mammoth Cave is brightly lit. Thus, those who come here are able to admire its beauty without the need for a lamp. The passageways of the Dachstein Mountains Mammoth Cave have a total length of 60 kilometers. The Dachstein Mountains contain another impressive cave that also attracts many visitors each year. The path to the cave leads alongside a natural mountain stream. The foaming water that flows in front of the Koppenbrüder Cave comes from a spring deep within its interior. The origin of the Dachstein Caves began around 30 million years ago. At that time, these mountains were simply hills covered by numerous rivers. Then only a small quantity of water seeped down into the rock below ground. Much of the water eroded the rock and created a series of deep fissures. The Dachstein glaciers flowed through the Trauntal down to the lowlands. As the water table sank, a large area of the caves became free of water. Thus, this huge ice cave became accessible to researchers. Today, it's one of the largest ice caves in the world, and a very popular tourist destination. It was Peter Gamsjager from Obertraun who first discovered the huge ice cave. He came across the entrance to this cave at the end of the 19th century, Whilst he was searching for a lost goat, there was a mighty storm. He took shelter within the Dachstein's huge ice cave. Today, around 800 meters of the cave is open to the public, and the cave system continues to be a beautiful enigma, a veritable natural wonder of the world. The mountaintops of the Alps are covered with snow and ice until the early summer. Its remote location, set between mountains and lakes, is truly captivating. A landscape of both history and culture. The Salzkammergut, a veritable paradise in the heart of Europe.